Welcome back to the part 2 of the chapter 1, the scientific approach and research in education. Let's narrow down our scope. Let's talk about researches done in the uh, context of educational fields. Sabi ni Macmillan, educational research is a systematic uh, discipline inquiry applied to gathering and analyzing and reporting information that addresses educational problems and questions. Take note of the emphasis being supplied, addressing educational problems, advancing understanding, which means that educational researches uh, must be rooted upon pedagogical issues and concerns and upon the goal of discovering or revising understanding and philosophies. Okay? So there are 6 principles that can be used to judge the quality and contribution of educational research. Those are number 1, significant; number 2, theory-based; number 3, rigorous and systematic; number 4, empirical; number 5, valid and verifiable; and number 6 is critical and transparent. Let's look into the first now. Significant. Research must address questions that can be explored through data and hold importance for the educational community, informing practice, policy, or theory. Madodocument nyo yan sa inyong rationale, wherein you present the significance of the study and then explain it, no? How it will benefit someone. Doon kasi sa rationale or background of the study, we present actually the general or the main or primary significance of this study. And then we have also the other section, the significance of this study or the importance of this study, where you are going to present a more specific presentation of the importance of this study to some beneficiaries and how they will be benefited by your study. So yan yung significant. Number 2, theory-based. So research should be grounded in existing theories or aim to contribute to them, providing context and guiding the study within a broader academic discourse. Ito yung dahilan kung bakit kailangan ng extensive literature review sa inyong researches. Sa proposal ng Masters or Bachelors, 25 yung kailangan natin yan. No? And then dadagdagan up to 40 sa final. For PhD, 40 sa proposal ninyo, and then dadagdagan nyo yan hanggang maging 60 sa final. Okay? The establishment of theoretical underpinnings is also an imperative element of research. No? Pwede itong educational theories, pwedeng philosophies, pwedeng developmental theories, sustainable development goals natin, at yung bagong-bago, yung educational 4.0 at saka educational 5.0. Okay? On the third, rigorous and systematic means that educational research must involve meticulous planning, appropriate methods for direct investigation, robust analysis, and transparent reporting to ensure validity and reliability. I always ask during proposal, provide me a tour on how you will attain your objectives, at yun yung rine-require ko sa kanila. No? This way, the researcher will realize that he needs to clearly map his procedures vis-a-vis his research objective. So, ito yung research objective mo. Anong gagawin mo muna dyan? So, by that way, marirealize mo na, ganun pala ka-rigorous, ganun pala dapat systematic yung gagawin ko. Now, in order to attain this principle of educational research. Number 4, empirical. When we say empirical, research should provide a coherent, explicit, or evidence-based chain of reasoning. Educational research is grounded in observable and measurable evidence, not speculations. I pose also the question of researchability of a topic or title among my students kapag nagpapa-title defense ako. Kapag researchability kasi, you need to answer 2 questions. No? 2, hindi naman simultaneous. No? 2 step questions. Number 1, no? The first one is, do you have a tool to measure your variable? From your topic, meron kang variables doon, and then I will ask you, do you have a tool to measure your variable? At kung wala, you will proceed to the second question. Will you be able to craft a valid and reliable tool to measure your variable? Okay? At kung wala pa rin, mag-isip-isip ka na. Baka hindi naman talaga researchable yung topic mo. Okay? So number 5, valid and verifiable. Results are replicable. Sinabi ko na kanina sa previous presentations natin. No? And generalizable across studies. Findings must be sound, accurate, and reproducible by independent researchers. For instance, imagine a study that's showing that using gamified quizzes in science classes significantly improves test scores. If the research is well designed and clearly documented, another group of researchers from a different school or even a different country should be able to apply the same intervention and obtain comparable improvements. When results consistently hold true across various studies and settings, they provide stronger evidence for educators and policymakers to adopt this strategy widely. Okay? And then the sixth or the last principle is the critical and transparent. So educational research should be critical and transparent. That is, research must be disclosed to encourage professional scrutiny. I-publish mo, no? Critique or peer review, fostering a culture of academic integrity. Ang mantra nga natin sa research is publish or perish. You need to publish, o di kaya present, and subject your researchers to peer reviews. Be open-minded to constructive criticisms as this will be your stepping stones to research proficiency. Okay? So these core principles collectively underpin the pursuit of robust, trustworthy, and ethically sound educational research. Scientific integrity, truthfulness, and accountability are fundamental requirements of conducting educational research. Okay? Furthermore, to safeguard research integrity, ethical guidelines are critical not only for protecting participants, but also for enhancing the validity and trustworthiness of research findings. We have 4 ethical principles at its core. Number 1, non-maleficence. Number 2, beneficence. Number 3, autonomy. At yung last is justice. When we say non-maleficence, it refers to the question of what are the harmful outcomes of participating in the research. As much as possible, we need to eliminate the harmful effects. And if there are any, kung meron man, na hindi natin kayang iwasan ang harmful effects, it must be disclosed clearly to the participants, both the short and the long-term effects. No? Pero wala naman siguro yan sa educational research unless you want to venture on behavioral modification studies. Okay? So, number 2, beneficence. This is actually the opposite of non-maleficence, no? Of maleficence. So, sa beneficence, you need to answer the question of what are the beneficial consequences of this study. Okay? So, make sure that you can also provide something in return to your respondents. No? Hindi naman ibig sabihin nun na compensation, for their participation. Hindi naman ibig sabihin nun na babayaran mo sila, no? Pero yung recommendations mo later, based on your findings, that will improve a practice or add to the knowledge or inform a policy, will already suffice as justification of beneficence. Okay? So number 3, autonomy. The freedom to participate, to withdraw, or terminate their involvement at any stage of the research must be given to the participants without facing any negative consequences. Okay? So autonomy ensures that participation is truly voluntary and that the individual's rights and dignity are respected throughout the research process. Huwag niyong pilitin kung ayaw ng target respondents nyo or target participants nyo na maging respondent sa study ninyo or kung ayaw na niya magpatuloy sa pagiging respondent. Okay? Lastly, justice. All people should be treated equally in the research process. Okay, that's the meaning of justice in research. No? Ang tawag namin dyan sa statistical sampling is fairness. Sa probability, it's the probability of to be included as a sample. That's why there's a need to explicitly define your inclusion and exclusion criteria. O bakit mo siya tinanggal? Kasi buntis, no? Hindi ko pwedeng i-damay dito sa research ko ang buntis. Di kaya, kasi lalaki siya. No? Ang respondents ko dapat is non-binary teachers. So, para ma-justify nyo kung bakit may mga tao tayong hindi isasali sa pool of target respondents. Okay, so that's justice. Researchers should also be aware of what ought to be done and not ought to be done. Without it, professional integrity is at stake, compromising the validity of findings and risking harm to the participants. The mechanism to ensure that your research adhere to these principles must be explicitly discussed in the ethical considerations section of your paper. Ano ba yung mga dapat na laman nun? No? Ito siya, no? Ito yung mga dapat laman yan. Number 1, integrity of the researcher. You need to practice honesty and credit or acknowledge everyone's contribution in your research. Dito din pumapasok kasi yung issue ng plagiarism natin, ha? In the academic circle, copying someone's work without acknowledging him as the source of such information is a very serious offense which can lead to ikakaso kayo, i-deny yung award of degree or certificate nyo, termination ng mga appointment nyo. Therefore, a researcher must apply the attitude of openness and scientific honesty and must acknowledge all authors consulted. Okay? So studies completed by others should not be plagiarized, and credit should be given for material quoted from other studies. So may mga, tingnan nyo yung module nyo, merong mga linagay ako dyan na examples of plagiarisms. And you need to avoid those activities since we want to establish your integrity as a researcher. Second one is informed consent. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na non-maleficence and beneficence. No? It is absolutely essential that a researcher must seek the voluntary consent of the human subject. The person involved should have the legal capacity to give consent, able to exercise free power of choice without any intervention or force, and have sufficient knowledge and comprehension of the objectives of the research to enable him to make enlightened decisions. In the case of elementary pupils as respondents, siguro pwede yung teacher advisors in school acting in loco parentis might take on this role who has a direct or formal responsibility for the welfare of the child. Pero our university ethical review board, they are asking educational researchers also to ask for parents' consent. Hindi na lang teacher advisor acting in loco parentis. No? They want you to get parental consent when conducting researches among kindergarten or elementary pupils. Okay? On the third one, that's deception and misinterpretation. Para lang may mag-cooperate. No? For instance, para lang may mag-cooperate, you told your students na i-record mo yung score nila sa English proficiency test na parte ng research mo. Okay? That's deception. When we say deception, it refers to intentionally misinforming the participants' objective of the study as to some or all aspects of the research topic. If participants are deceived, the researcher must ensure that they are provided sufficient explanation as soon as possible. One stance where it is justifiable is to avoid Hawthorne effect, yung tinatawag nating experimental or observational contamination. Pero dapat after the experimentation or immediately at the end of the observation or experimentation, the information as to the true purpose of the procedure must be disclosed. Okay? Lastly, the privacy and confidentiality and anonymity consideration must not also be discounted. You seek permission before entering a research locale. Okay? May mga researchers kasi na inaabot na lang sa mga kakilala nila tapos sila na lang yung magdi-distribute ng mga questionnaires. No, wag naman ganon. You seek permission before entering a research locale. You gain access through school officials to avoid disruption. And of course, no, you need to report your data honestly without changing or altering the findings to satisfy certain predictions or assumptions. Use codes or pseudonyms in the research reports rather than the real names of participants and organizations or institutions. Okay? So that's it for educational research. That's simply the background of educational research. We'll continue on the last part.